will be recorded, so you'll see it up on our knowledge base if you weren't able to attend, if you want to have somebody else from your team watch it. But thank you for joining us today. My name is Dan. I am CTO here at Viirtue, and I'm happy to welcome a bunch of product specialists from Poly. We're going to be starting off with Raphael, and then also after Poly's all done, we're going to be wrapping up with Compliance Solutions Inc. today for some tax compliance. Rodney Sands will be joining us from there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass this on over to you, Raphael. Just let me know if you have any issues.
Well, there we go. Let me just show my screen. Whoops. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yep, we can see it. You're good, man.
And my presentation mode as well?
You are, yeah, we can see your whole screen.
Okay, perfect. So thank you everyone for joining. My name is Raphael. I'm with Poly. I'm a solutions architect, trying to give you guys today a quick presentation on our product called the Poly Studio. So essentially, the Poly Studio, it's what we call a video bar. So similar to, everyone's familiar with, with an audio bar, this is a video bar because it has an integrated camera, and it's a USB-based camera with a lot of feature-rich systems that you can use to pretty much grab the best experience of both worlds, right? Your audio and your video. So the way that you would use the Poly Studio is that you would plug it into your computer, your laptop, or your tablet, and it's all USB based, so it's very simple to use, perfect for small rooms, huddle spaces, and it allows you to use whatever video client you're using on your laptop, PC, or or your tablet, right? So plug into your USB, and it pretty much takes over your experience and allows you to to be able to take advantage of a feature-rich system, right? So some of the features that you'll see, it's it's 4K video and HD capable, right? So you get a 120-degree field of vision as well. And one of the features that I'm most excited about talking today is the auto framing. So when you are in a video call, it's very important to kind of keep focus on the person that's talking. So with the Poly Studio, what it'll do is that it'll automatically frame on the speaker, and also if there's two people speaking at the same time, it'll do auto framing on both people and add them to the same feed, so that you can see the dialogue between those two people in the same room as well, which is pretty cool. So legendary audio, HD audio. So Poly is well known for its audio innovations, right? So we've have the same audio capabilities that you would expect from a high-end conference phone. That's also been it's been integrated into the Poly Studio as well. So things like acoustic fence and noise block, it's something that the Poly Studio does very well. So if you have a conference room where there's a tapping going on with a pen, or someone opening a bag of chips perhaps, then the Poly Studio would recognize that noise or that sound as a non-speech, and then it'll cancel that out automatically, so the far end participants don't have to listen to that background noise. And we also support centralized management with some of our other infrastructure products. So if you wanted to manage software upgrades, or if you wanted to deploy settings across multiple Poly Studios, we also have that capability as well. And then just quickly, wanted to show a slide of where the Poly Studio kind of falls as far as the room size. And the Poly Studio will be perfect for a small room. I would say 6 to 8 participants. and you can see how our other features or our other solutions kind of match up in the small, medium, large, and supersized room deployments, and some pricing as well, which I'm sure you guys can reach out to your poly representative to discuss further.
Or distributor.
Or distributor. Yeah. Thanks, Veronica.
The studio it's really a great unit if your end user, the person that you're selling it to, is not quite ready to move into the Trio solution. This is plug and play. It's very simple. It's user friendly, and it really, Raf, correct me if I'm wrong, it really could be used in like a mid-sized conference room as well. I mean, that sound is pretty good.
Yes, the pickup range on this on the Poly Studio, it's about 7 to 14 feet. So.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Veronica, because I did want to mention that as well.
This is another important thing is whatever distributor you're purchasing through, this is seen as an audio device, which is important because if you're not certified for video for the Trios, you could buy the Studio, you could purchase the Studio because it's an audio SKU.
Awesome, fantastic, guys. And what we noticed too with our partner space, it's competing nicely. The Yearlink had a model that was pretty competitive, so we're seeing this kind of, you can just slip this into a conference room with our partners. It's a great price point on it, so it's a really quick go to market for a nice all-in solution. And then Veronica, I still didn't see your other panelists join. Do you want to take over from here for the next piece about the
okay? Do we have Raf? Do we have SC coming in? So he's basically the product developer on the D230. So we really need him to join in. I'm
pinging him now, Veronica, to see. I know he has some troubles trying to get the browser going.
Just because you're short on time today, and just to move this along, if he doesn't respond, Rodney, I'll pass it to you so you can do your presentation, and we'll come back to you guys over at Poly.
That sounds good.
All right.
Let me just see. He's telling me that the application is still running, trying to install, so he's gonna have to reboot the PC. So go ahead, Dan, and then we'll bring him in at the end. I think that's a good plan.
Okay, cool. All right, Rodney, are you ready to? I see you're muted right now. Are you ready to join in audio and me to pass you control? He was planning on presenting at 1:30, so hold on one second, guys.
Okay, Raf, we have your screen up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Hey, Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm gonna pass you control right now.
Okay.
All right, your screen's up, Rodney. You're good to go.
Okay. You can see the screen?
Yep, you're all set, Rodney.
Okay, thank you. Hey, so guys, just want to thank Dan for having us on the call today too. I'm with Compliance Solutions. My name is Rodney Sands, and Compliance Solutions is a accounting firm that specializes in telecommunications. And I actually used to be on your side of telecommunications. Had a Ford company, did some work with some other big carriers in the past, but I had Compliance Solutions as my tax and compliance partner when I had a VoIP company, because I was really good at network and getting a customer base and doing all those things it takes to build a business, but I really didn't have much interest in tax and compliance. It's kind of hard to make that exciting, but it is a part of thing in telecom because we actually in telecom become a collection agent for the government, and so it's just a part of what we have to do at this point. But so to give you a little bit of background, we're partners with Vive and Viirtue, and have had a pleasure to meet Dan and his team, and want to thank him for having us on the call, and look forward to a long relationship as both companies grow. But Compliance Solutions has been around for 17 years as a company. Mark Lammert, who actually started the company, has been a practitioner for more than 32 years. So there's a lot of expertise in the field, which I've learned quite a bit from Mark. After I sold my company, Mark knew that I had a lot of connections in telecommunications, and so asked me to team up with him, and that's how we got hooked up. And at first I told him, well, I didn't know a lot about tax and compliance because I was on the other side, and I said, that's why we hired you. But so as a VoIP provider, it gave me a great deal of comfort to know that Compliance Solutions was taking care of all tax, compliance, and regulatory services for us, because it can get pretty complex, but Compliance Solutions really simplifies that whole process for you as a VoIP provider and makes something that is very complex more simple. So you have about 40,000 tax jurisdictions across the country, when it comes to city, county, state, federal, and so it's a lot to keep up with. And so we have, right now, we have about 470 different telecom companies that work with Compliance Solutions. Some companies are large billion-dollar companies. Other companies are small startup VoIP companies. And so with the experience that Mark has in the industry, we're really able to help small companies grow and navigate through the whole process that sometimes seems like it's the most complicated piece of the process. So let me change the slide here. Let me actually just put this slideshow up so you can see the whole thing. If I can do that. My computer's a little bit slow here. Okay. All right, so you can see.
We're on the, Rodney, we can see your actual PowerPoint application open. I'm not sure if you have multiple screens.
Okay, so you can see the PowerPoint that's open. You can see the services.
But we only see it says filling requirements. I don't know if you have this on pause potentially.
Let's see. I'm sorry, what can you see at this point?
It just says filing requirements for VoIP providers.
Can you see, I actually have it changed up to a slideshow, so can you see the next page that says registration, ongoing compliance?
No, you might have the GoToWebinar paused. You just hit play if you don't.
Yeah.
There we go, perfect.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, yes?
Yes, we can see now. You're good to go.
Yeah. All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, it's the first time we've used GoTo, so new process for us. But so you can see the registration and ongoing compliance. So we take care of everything starting from registration, Secretary of State, registering with the states, to Department of Revenue, FCC, Public Utility. So there's executive branch and there's legislative branch. The legislative branch actually is the branch that creates the taxes. The legislative branch, the FCC part, does surcharges. It's not actually a tax. It's considered a surcharge, but it looks like a tax and acts like a tax. So, for all intents and purposes, it might as well be. So you can see on the list of services that all the things, and some of you being probably new VoIP companies, maybe this is new to you. I know years ago in the VoIP industry, people didn't think that VoIP was even taxed, and in the beginning of the service, it wasn't taxed because the government didn't know if it was going to be a viable solution to a service. But once it did become a better product and a better service, the government, of course, began to tax it because they're going to look for revenue wherever they can. And so it is something that you have to be concerned about being a VoIP provider. And so as you look down through the services there, you can look at, there is city, state, county, federal type taxes. The tax rating piece that we have that we'll talk about a little bit more is actually something that might be new to some of you, but there's tax mapping and tax rating. And so how we keep track of everything, especially if you're in different jurisdictions, different states, if you plan to go nationwide as a company, we actually map your products and services and code those to be tax rated in each jurisdiction. And so what happens in that case is that everything is going to be automated. We have an API set up that we're actually working with Vibe and Dan at this point in his team, that as he uses billing system in Vibe, those calculations will happen automatically for your billing piece. So whatever products and services you offer, we code those into the system so to make sure that it's taxed properly in each jurisdiction. So it can be a lot to keep up with, but again, we simplify it for you so it doesn't seem like it's that big of a headache for you, because we know you got a lot of other things to take care of in your business. So the next slide that you can see is the state regulation of VoIP providers. There are certain states that you have to be registered in as a VoIP provider, and then some states, of course, you just want to be registered in as a business. And we also take care of transaction taxes, sales taxes in each state for you too as part of our service. And so you can see here you've got California, Connecticut, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, that currently you have to register in at this point. But different states do have different requirements, and so that's something that we take care of for you as well. And you'll find out that all of our services are inclusive as far as our packages are concerned. So even if you get any type of correspondence from a state as your company's growing, you can just send that correspondence to Compliance Solutions, and we take care of it on your behalf. So the way that our service works too is that we try to simplify it from the fact that as soon as we get the tax rates, and as you see this next page, taxes and tax rates, it gives you an idea of what the tax rating looks like in this particular location. So we have a tool that you can use that I can give you a username and password. So even as you're growing your company, and if you have salespeople and you have customers that might want to know what the taxes and surcharges are in a particular area, you could go to our website and check out this tool and just get different percentages. But this will give you an idea how the tax rating process works from a billing standpoint. So I'll give you the path real quick, and if of course, you can contact me, or we can talk at a later date too if you want me to walk you through the process on the website. But if you were to go to our website, which is csi-tax.com, longwood.com. That stands for Compliance Solutions, Inc. Longwood is the name of the city that we're just outside Orlando, Florida. And as you go on the webpage, you'll see a link that says tax rate search. Then from there, the username is sales example, just all one word. The authorization code is example. And then you check a box, hit submit, and it will bring you up to this tax tool that you can put any zip code, any MPA, NXX across the country, and it'll give you references to all of the taxes and surcharges that would be applicable for that particular location. So you can see, too, if you're not real familiar with some of these taxes and surcharges, that the highest percentage is actually the Federal Universal Service Fund, which you can see is 25%. And, you know, that's something not to be too alarmed about at this point, because it's 25%, but it's based on just interstate traffic. And so that particular fee is just traffic across the state lines going from state to state, and of course with the tax rating piece, and we take a percentage of that to know exactly what to pay as far as the SBC is concerned. But you'll also notice that as you go through different zip codes and pull up different jurisdictions, that the amount of taxes and surcharges are going to change quite a bit. So if you're in Florida, so to speak, or where Dan is in New York is going to have, as you can see here, a lot more taxes and surcharges than Florida. And so it's that way all across the country. So it's a lot to keep up with, but by using Vibe and using their billing system, then that'll just happen for you automatically. So you can see here that talk on board providers, they're required to start with FCC and 499 and 499 Qs. So that's basically 5 different reports that you have to file that we handle as a service as well and take care of that for you. You can see the dates that each of those are due. And I can send this presentation to Dan too, so that if any of you want it, then you can contact him and he can send it to you. And of course, you can contact us because we don't want to get into a whole lot of detail with the tax piece at this point. But you can see some of the history of FCC USF rates that now is up to 25%. And the fact that it continues to go up, it used to fluctuate back and forth a little bit, and it can change as much as every quarter. And small VoIP providers used to think they could kind of scoot under the radar, but because of the percentages going up, it's more difficult to do that at this point because you can't escape that as much as maybe you used to be able to. So, but you can see the history and it seems like the trend is continuing to go up at this point, but it can fluctuate back and forth. And so by using the tax rating piece flow, we take care of that. In fact, that each quarter, so it's nothing that you really have to do on your end as far as tracking it. Then you can see the services life cycle that we have here. So just to, simplify things for you, even though it seems complex, the billing support piece where we perform the tax calculations comes from the tax mapping and the tax rating services. Then the revenue assurance department, we process those files. And of course, everything is done, even our agreements, we have a power of attorney with them that allows us to deal with the agencies on your behalf. And we keep a 24/7 tax library so that you can see all of the filings. And everybody's different. Some companies may be big enough that they have accounting staffs, and so they want to kind of keep track of it. Other companies are just small, maybe 1, 2, 10 employees, and so they don't really want to be as concerned with it as much as long as we're taking care of it. But you have the records if you ever need it. And so you can see that, we prepare the transaction taxes and the regulatory reporting to the treasury management piece, which is also an important piece. We have a treasury management department that we typically set up funds with Bank of America and set up a separate escrow account on your behalf. And so each month, our treasury management team would contact you and let you know what the liability is for the taxes to the different agencies. You would fund the escrow account, and then we go ahead and take care of payment to the agencies on your behalf. Then you can see the tax and regulatory returns. We submit those to the agencies. Then we keep those copies of filed returns in a portal. As a client, you get a portal that you can access anytime. That also has different reports that will show trends and analysis too for your company. Then we also do tax exemption documents to your suppliers so that you're not double taxed or having to pay taxes twice to your carrier as well as what you're paying that your end user is paying. And we're submitting on your behalf. So we take care of the tax exemption to make sure that your carrier and supplier doesn't charge you taxes at that point. Then we analyze the growth and maintain registrations as they come up for new registrations and jurisdictions. So anytime you're growing on a national basis, we just grow with you and we'll go ahead and register for you. Then we also have corporate and income property franchise tax services available. We don't typically start out with those with a new client because we're sometimes you'll have your own CPA that's taking care of those things, but if it's something that you want us to do at a later date after, we've gotten to know each other and got all the telecom piece squared away, then we do have those services available too, as well as audit defense services, which is something that when I had a void company, I had to take advantage of with Client Solutions too, because we did end up having an audit, and hopefully, as your companies grow large and you're very successful, then that's when the states, typically tend to want to audit you because you have more revenue that they want to make sure that they're getting everything that they should. But I can tell you from firsthand experience that Mark handled the auditors when we had to go through as a company, and everything went very smooth, and I was, very pleased that it was much less complicated than it could have been if I was trying to defend myself. So that gives you, kind of a real high-level overview of some of the things that we do, some of the things that you're responsible for, and of course we can, get together with you on an individual basis if you have more questions or just need to plan for the future and want to talk more detail. But hopefully that kind of, if you haven't really thought about what that's going to look like in the future as you grow your voice business, hopefully that gives you some things to think about. And Dan, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Rodney. I appreciate it. And I just want to add that we've used CSI for many years. That was one of the main reasons when we evaluated tax engines for Vibe, that we chose CSI. So they're a great team to work with. I know on the Vibe webinar we did go over their 2 different packages they have, but please do reach out to Rodney for further info from him and to gain access to their system. If you do need his contact information, again, please do feel free to let me know. And Raphael, I'm going to actually unmute you here for 1 second. We had a question about the Polycom Studio before I pass it on over to SC, but a question came in from Mike. Is the Studio a SIP endpoint? He wanted to know.
Yeah, so it's basically a USB accessory. So what happens is that you would have your video client running on your laptop, PC, or tablet, right? So on your desktop PC or your tablet, you would just plug in the Poly Studio, and then it pretty much just allows you to to use the camera and the audio features of the device so that you can communicate via your video client. So in a sense, if your tablet, desktop PC, or laptop is running a SIP enabled or a SIP client that uses video, then it would be just an extension. The Poly Studio would be just an extension of that.
Yeah, Michael, I think it is, you do build an extension within our platform. The question was, so it's not integrated with the Viirtue service, but I believe the answer is yes. I know we have a few, actually, Polly was nice enough to send us to test out and certify on our network that we already set up. So if you do want assistance, if you do order one, our team has worked with them. So you can just simply contact support and they'll try and help you. And if not, Polly support's outstanding as well. All right. And I saw there's a couple other questions. We'll try and get to them at the end, but if you do have questions, feel free to pop them into the questions bar. If we don't get to them during the webinar, I'll reach out to you guys individually after to address those questions. But now I'll hand it on over to SC to go over the new units.
Hi, Daniel. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Are you guys able to hear me well?
Yes, we are.
Okay, my apology for joining late. Had some technical difficulties this morning with getting GoToMeeting running, but I'm here. And Daniel, thanks to the virtual team for inviting the Poly team to present on today's webinar. And for this section, I will be introducing the latest DECT IP phone that Poly just launched in the last 30 days. But before I jump in, a quick introduction of myself. Again, my name is SC Lee. I'm the product manager for Poly DECT endpoints. And for today, very focused on our new product called the VVX D230. So my goal today, Daniel, so before I jump in, do a quick time check. How much time do I have to present today?
Should have about 20 minutes. We should be good.
20 minutes. Okay. All right, good. So my goal for the next 20 minutes is, number one, get you guys introduced to what this VVX D230 is, right? What is the product? What is its capability? And what are some of the enhancements that we added and value that we'll be able to deliver to you as a customers of Viirtue or to Viirtue, which is one of our key partners here. So without delay, let's jump straight in. So the VVX D230, what is it, right? So it is a DECT IP phone, right? It offers you the workspace mobility at its finest, right? So many of you are probably very familiar with desktop phone, right? So think of all the desktop phone experience all incorporated into this DECT standalone product. Now you'll be able to, put cordless DECT handsets around your offices and to be able to do, transfer, conference, directories, right? All the IP phone features that you expect, instead of running back to your desk to do it, you now will be able to do it on a mobile form factor, right? What are some of the key features on the VVX D230? It is going to be color screened, right? So it's 2-inch color screened. It gives you lots of space for you to drive great experience for transfer, conference, incoming call, right? And later on, I do have slides to show you guys all the different experience, right? How do you do a call park? How do you do a transfer? How do you do a conference, right? How do you handle multiple call appearances on a 2-inch screen, right? Second one is, the wireless coverage, right? Many of you are probably very familiar with Bluetooth, right? DECT is, 3-4 times more than a Bluetooth, right? Bluetooth is considered kind of a personal area network, but DECT is kind of equivalent to a Wi-Fi, right? But it's optimized for voice, right? So for a very typical restaurant, for a very typical small business, having one DECT base station should be sufficient for you to cover your entire office space, right? When we say 50-meter indoor, what we meant by that is, if you have walls, right? If you have cubicles, if you have a break room, in between different areas, because of those barriers, the estimated range of coverage is about 50 meters, 165 feet. When you have no obstructions, you have clear line of sight from the base station to the handset, the weather is perfect, humidity is nice, right? You should be able to get up to 300 meters without any voice disruption, right? So, that is one huge value of DECT. You guys might ask, what is the standby? What is the talk time on this product, right? So we design our product at the right price point, at the right feature set. And in terms of the standby time and talk time, this will last you through 5 working days without having to put the phone back to recharge, assuming that you don't talk during that 5 working days, right? So it's about 100 hours standby if you just let it sit by the side. But if you're actively using the phone, right, it should get you through 1 full business days without having to recharge, right? And we're talking about on the phone talking for 9-10 hours, right? So if you have a mix of this, you shouldn't have any battery challenges, right? We expect most employees, right, they will put their handset back to the charging cradle at the end of the day, if not maybe every 2 days, right? So this will 100 hours standby, 10 hours talk time should be able to get through most of your business use case. The base, right? Our base incorporates a charging station. Our base incorporates a 10/100 PoE port and a switch port, right? So what are some of the value of that, right? So I highlighted how our base includes a charging cradle, right? Unlike many of our peers, in order for you to deploy a solution from them, you need a base. You need to go then find a power adapter to power that charging cradle that the handset sits on for one handset deployment, right? With our solution, all you need is one PoE and you put the handset on it. So you save on that physical footprint on that employee's desk, right? Number 2, to deploy this solution, you don't have to go out and find another Ethernet cable, right? You could just take that PC cable, plug it into this base, and put another Ethernet cable through the switch port down to your PC, right? So that is cost saving, right? That translates to less truck roll when you need to go out and deploy this, right? The other big thing about our solution, it supports 10 handsets, right? There are many solutions out there that supports 5, some supports 8. Our solution allows you to pair up to 10 handsets at any time, have 8 simultaneous phone calls, and you're able to do 8 different SIP registrations separated across different handsets, or even have multiple handsets paired to one SIP account, right? In terms of audio support, we support all the narrowband audio. We also support wideband audio, right? We not only support G.722, we support Opus codec, which is huge for many different service providers, right? As you guys are aware, Opus deliver MP3 audio quality at a fraction of the bandwidth required compared to a G.722, right? If you do a same audio quality comparison between a G.722 and an Opus will take out only 1/3 of what the G.722 require and still deliver the same audio quality, right? So this translates to much better user experience for your customer. Last but not least, every single one of our endpoints, including the new DECT handsets, supports PDMS-SP, right? This is our cloud management platform. We allow you to use this to manage the device if you choose to use it as a provisioning. If you choose to use it as a day 2 management platform, like to go in and reboot, capture PCAP, capture syslog, to go in and take a look at the range of the handset, right? We give you a cloud access to go in and manage all these endpoints, right? And it comes standard with all the new VVX phones that we launch. Okay, so I have here what are some of the key benefits, right? Sometimes I like to talk about what are some of the key pain points that we're trying to solve, right? So let's jump into what are some of the key benefits, right? So for Viirtue, which is a partner, it delivers greater customer value, right? I'm sure people ask this nowadays. It's like, hey, I don't want to be tethered to a desk phone. I want to be able to walk around in my warehouse to be able to make phone calls and still be able to transfer, park, conference, right? Corporate directory, right? All on the DECT handset, right? Number 2, how do you easily manage this device, right? How do you just plug it in and not have to send a truck roll to troubleshoot the problem, not have to send a truck roll to go in and reboot, restart, or set configuration of the device, right? I highly encourage all of you to check out our PDMS-SP and all our new VVX line of desktop phones, and our DECT handsets are all natively connected back to our PDMS-SP cloud solution. Last but not least, it allows you guys to add one more product to your portfolio, right? I know many of you today are probably using some of our peers, right? Now if you guys are already using our desktop phone, this is just another add-on to your desktop portfolio, right? So now we have a DECT handset to help solve your business needs. For your customers, right, it's workplace mobility, right? I do this for my home. I do this for my home office, right? I like the fact that, I don't have to sit in front of my desk phone to do everything, right? I could just go to my backyard, put my DECT handset on speakerphone, and people say, hey, I see, I hear some bird chirping on the background. Hey, I'm actually talking to you on an IP phone, right? But it's actually a DECT IP phone, right? Number two is very, very expandable, right? Just imagine having 10 handset ring when you have one SIP registration. When there's one phone call going to that SIP number, you could have all 10 handset ring, and any one of those handset could now answer the call, and the 9 handset are still available for you to make new calls, right, or receive new incoming calls, right, depending on the number of call sessions Viirtue or any of your SP providers offers you, right? Last but not least, we think what we have today, 100 hours and 10 hours of talk time, is sufficient to get through regular business use cases. Okay, so let's go into more details of the feature, right? So again, I want to iterate our support for 10 handsets, 8 SIP lines, and 8 simultaneous calls, right? So that is huge. We support distinctive incoming call treatment, right? Whether is it an internal call versus external call. So you could have a different ringtone when it's an intercom versus an incoming call from your customer, right? The device supports call waiting, right? So when you're on a call, when it's incoming call, not only will you notify from the beeping tone, but you also see on the screen who this incoming call is, and it allows you to put on hold that call, and you'll be able to see, hey, there are actually 2 calls. One is waiting, one session I'm actually talking, right? Which actually solves a lot of the problem that an analog DECT phone today do not deliver, right? So today, if you deploy an ATA with an analog DECT phone, you probably use a hook flash to place a call on hold, right? Try that for like 10 calls. You probably will, accidentally hang up a couple of your customers' call, right? Do not disturb, right? So at any time, if you don't want this handset to ring, just click do not disturb. We do support call transfer. We allow you to, on an incoming call, immediately divert that call to another number or to another handset, right? We call it divert, right? Or if you're already on that call, we allow you to now say, hey, transfer to external number, transfer to intercom. We have many different permutation of transfer, right? We support attended transfer, we support blind transfer, right? And I do have a couple of slides later to show you that user experience. Call conference, call park, right? Which is a very common use case. A customer calls in, hey, I would like to speak to a guitar specialist, right? How do you park that call and now have the guitar specialist pick up another handset and answer that call or retrieve or unpark the call from another handset, right? Put the call on hold. We have a very clear voice messages center. The reason why we call it a voice messages center is because every handset, there is a potential to configure it to do up to 8 SIP line, right? So you want to be able to go in, click on that and see, hey, which line do I actually have voice messages, right? And select that to now answer that voicemail. We do support both private and shared line, right? So if you guys have a deployment where you want the desktop phone and the DECT handset to share the same shared line, you want the handset to show the status of the shared line when the shared line is busy, when the shared line is on hold, or whether there's an incoming call. And we do have an icon that will reflect live the status of the shared line, right? So we support both shared and private line. Today we have BroadSoft directory incorporated, but in an upcoming release before the end of this year, we are going to support a very generic, poly XML style network directory for you to, do a search and retrieve network directory information just using some very basic XML exchange between the base station and your cloud. We talk about call forward and divert, right? So call forward is, you could go to any single line and say, hey, I want to call forward when there's no answer. I want to call forward all the time, right? When I want to call forward when there's no, like busy, right? So You could set them to any numbers you want. So we let you set 3 different numbers depending on the call forward scenario, right? And divert is basically when there's incoming call, you can say, hey, divert, I want to divert this call straight away to Raphael, right? And that call will immediately get diverted. We support intercom between handsets, right? So you could actually go select intercom, say, I want all handsets to ring, or I want just to talk to someone in the lobby, and all those is accomplished without going through the service provider. It's all done within that base station. And of course, with the 2-inch screen, we clearly indicate the calling status of the user. We have missed call notification. There is a dedicated button at the bottom of the phone for you to redial. And we do support speed dial, right? In fact, we have 2 different types of speed dial. We have one that's locally on the phone, right? And we have 8 of those, right? So you could go to any phone and configure 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 as your speed dial. And once you have that configured, all you need to do is go to the phone, press and hold that. It will then trigger that phone call. But if you want a speed dial, which is centralized on the base, and for all the 10 handsets to now just press £2, £3, £4 to initiate the speed dial, we have 99 of those that you could define on the base. And when you go to any of those handsets and press £3, it will then call that respective speed dial. Okay, so what comes with the packaging, right? So this is what you see. We have actually 2 different SKUs. On the left is basically our base station with the handset, right? So this is the base station with 2-port, integrated 10/100. There's a handset locator, belt clip is shipped. If you want to put it on, you can do that. On the right is what we call our handset accessory, right? So you could buy one of the left, which comes with 1 base and 1 handset. If you want 9 additional handset, you will now go buy 9 of the handset accessories that's on the right. A couple more details on the handset. All the way to the top, that bezel there is actually removable, and we do customize the bezel based on certain volume, right? On the top left of the bezel, there is a message waiting indicator. It will blink when there's a missed call, a message waiting, and when there's an incoming call. 2-inch color screen, 2 soft keys, numeric keypads, and there is the up-down arrow is used for navigating across the menu, and when the phone is on standby, when you do up-down, it's used for controlling the volume of the phone. When you flip to the back, you see the speaker bezel, right? As you guys can see, it has our iconic trio, boomerang style look on our bezel. The headset jack is 2.5 millimeter, but don't worry about it. Every single one of our packaging includes a 2.5 to 3.5 millimeter converter. So if you guys want to use your Samsung or your Android 3.5 millimeter headset, just plug in that adapter that's shipped with every single one of our units. You can leverage that too. So, okay, so how does this kind of complete our entire portfolio, right? So you guys are probably very familiar with our X50 phone. We launched that about a year ago. So now with this solution and our headsets and our USB Wi-Fi dongle, we actually have a wide array of mobility solution for you, right? So check out, the rest of our products if you guys don't have a chance to do that yet. But this is where the D230 fits, right? It provides the mobility aspect of our desktop portfolio. Okay, I want to put this slide out there because many of you probably have experience with a product that we launched 3-4 years ago called the VVX D60, right? And you guys must ask, I see this product looks very familiar as a D60, right? The answer is yes, but it's a total redesign of the software, right? Total redesign of the internal architecture, right? So what are some of the key differences, right? So number one, the D230 that we just launched last month is a standalone product. You don't need to tether it with a desktop phone, right? The old VVX D60, that is a companion product with a desktop phone. For every single deployment, you need a desktop phone, right? Number two, the new solution that we just launched supports 10 handsets, 8 SIP registrations, and 8 concurrent calls. The D60 only supports 5 handsets, 5 SIP registrations, and 4 concurrent calls. And one thing to note, all the SIP registrations are handled by the desktop phones, right? But on this new VVX D230, everything sits inside the base of the solution. And last but not least, this new solution supports Opus versus our old VVX D60. Okay, I just have a couple more slides. I think I kind of hit my 20 minutes here, just to kind of quickly show you guys the UI experience of the phone, right? And I think this is very, very key to highlight because many of our peers are out there, selling a product maybe with a much larger screen, but when you start using the overall call experience, that is where we really differentiate, right? It's how do you clearly indicate that you're on a call? How do you, clearly enable the user to transfer? And when you're on the call, how do you clearly indicate which is live, which is on hold, right? And what is the duration on it, right? So here are just some examples of our screen, right? So this example here is how do you do transfer, right? This next example here shows you how do you do a blind transfer, right? So very clearly we support, we have an option called blind transfer. You enter in, click transfer, and you're done. This is how you conference, right? You're on a call, you click new call, enter the number, and then now you have the option to conference every user in, right? So notice that green always means that there is an active call on it, right? Blue means that there is on hold and no active call or the phone is idle, right? So those are some of the color indication. How do you park a call, right? If you're on the call, go to the option, select call park, enter the parking lot number, and bam, you'll be in the parking lot options. How do you go about setting call forward, right? If you have multiple lines, you select call forwarding, you ask, hey, which line do you want to select call forward on, right? Select which call forward option, enter the number you want to call forward, and just save it, right? If you have many missed calls, you have many messages, where does it show on your phone? We have it on the main screen, which shows the number of missed call, number of messages. When you click into Voice Messages Center, it will show you what are the different voice lines that it supports and how many voicemail you have left. I think I kind of sum it up. I think I took out my 20 minutes. I hope the last 20 minutes you guys find this useful. Again, the VVX D230 is a mobile DECT IP phone, right? It allows you to add mobility to your office phone system. Back to you, Daniel.
Yep, thanks so much, Essie, and thank you the rest of the Poly team and as well Rodney. We appreciate it. So again, folks, if you do want any of their, just we're running out of time today. So if you do want any of their contact info, whether you're in need of a good distributor for Poly, or if you just need a hand getting started with them, and vice versa, Rodney as well, do feel free to reach out to me or whoever your account rep is here at Viirtue. We'd love to provide that information to you. And just a little quick plug for next month, we're going to be joined by Mondigo. They're a value CRM. They integrate our platform with over 100 different CRMs out there. So they're going to be doing a webinar for you guys next month. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you guys, Poly. Thank you, Rodney. And hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.